Hi, and welcome to the Limitless Leaders podcast. Thanks for joining us from wherever you are in the world. And today, being the start of a brand new year, I'm so excited to have our guests that I have been friends with, been working with closely over the last few months. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Shaun Tucker from Healthy CEOs. And Shaun is the manifestation and extension of himself in what he does. His life purpose is to create and enrich all beings to be the custodians of their health and wellness so they get to live as the CEO of their life. As healthy CEOs, he believes there's 4 pillars to health, being mindset, nutrition, lifestyle, and movement. Wellness is the integration of these 4 aspects that also connects the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual being that we all are. Before you can change any of the 4 pillars, you need to shift your energy, because your energy at the end of the day, Shaun believes, is the ground zero and the foundation of who you are. And it is the compass to long-lasting change. Thanks for joining us, Shaun.
Awesome, Renee, and what an introduction. Thank you so much. Pleasure
Absolute
to be here.
pleasure. I love what you do, what you're about. You live your passion. And from the moment, I met you sort of earlier last year, when we were both drawn to each other in our philosophy of life, spirituality, and all things around, I guess, living the CEO of your life. What do you mean by, because your business name's Healthy CEOs, what
Yeah.
do you mean by CEOs? Tell me.
So a CEO to me is someone who takes or is willing to take responsibility for their life.
Yeah.
And that's in all aspects of their life. So it's someone who's ready to be accountable to themselves,
Yeah.
to their families, to their job, to their company, to their employees. It doesn't really matter. The same principles of being a CEO in your life means that you actually wipe the toilet seat after you've gone to the toilet, right? It's not leaving stuff there for the next person to take, responsibility for it. You're actually taking responsibility for not only yourself, but everyone else around you as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And do you think we all have the choice to be the CEO of our own lives?
We all have the choice, and it doesn't matter if you have, disabilities. It doesn't matter whatsoever. There's always some sort of responsibility that you can take to actually make a contribution to the next moment, right?
Yeah.
And this is what it's about. We only
Yeah.
really have now. There's no past, there's no future, there's only the present. So what can we do to make this moment for the next moment better?
Yeah, I love that. And I think, last year was a big year. I know.
It was huge. Yeah.
Oh, it was massive. And I think, everyone I was speaking to, particularly towards the end of the year, we've all tried to fit in what we've missed out on. There's people changing careers. It's been a really exciting time. But everyone I know coming towards Christmas and even early this year still feeling a bit depleted. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it's almost like you've got to, and I don't find it easy, as you know, to surrender to that, but that's important. I'm fascinated with your backstory, and I'm sure our listeners and our viewers will be too. I'd love to know how you've got to be doing what you're doing today. And I guess, what's contributed to who you are and who you're continually becoming.
Well, this is a really interesting one because it actually comes back to my life experiences into doing what I'm doing today, really. And it all goes back to about 12 years ago. And to be honest, it probably goes back long before that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
12 years ago was, I guess, my wake-up call. And that was when I was overseas, was a little bit lost in life. I was over there with one of my brothers, and we went out, had way too many drinks, and I remember just half of the night after that I blacked out. I woke up the next morning and there was just a little bit of blood everywhere. I was just like, what the hell is going on? And I'd never felt so sick and so scared in my life up until that point.
Wow.
Probably the only other time before that was when I was 3 years old and I
Mm.
nearly completely severed off my tongue with my own teeth.
Gee, wow.
And so when I was 19 over in a foreign country and I drank way too much and completely blacked out, waking up the next morning, I was just so disoriented. I was very, very lost in what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I never felt so sick and scared
Mm.
for my life that I knew after I'd sort of started feeling better, it took me about a week to feel better. I knew that I had to make some changes in my life because I wasn't in health. I wasn't in good health, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a life purpose. I was disconnected from who I was. I was following in my brother's footsteps because I've got three older brothers. I was following in their footsteps. And I was just, I don't know, living in the shadows of who I was actually born to be because I
Mm.
didn't know. And from that point, I really decided to make some changes about my health, my lifestyle choices, and really what I was doing in my life. And it sort of just evolved and it sort of become a little bit more concrete in what I was crafting for myself because I started following my passions. I went and actually did a personal training certificate
Yep.
after I quit university because I was like, I just can't handle what I was studying because once again, I was just following in other people's footsteps and doing things that society had told me to do, which wasn't what I wanted to do. It was just what I was told to do. And I was just blindly following like a sheep, right? So what I did after that point was I started following my passion and went to be a PT. I didn't start working as a PT because I knew I wanted to go to university and do some higher education. So when I graduated my certificates, I went actually to do a health science degree, which furthered my education and really understood what it takes to be a human being living in this modern society of these times.
Yeah.
And then after when I graduated, I went and started working as a trainer at a gym. This was 5 years ago.
Yep.
And it was really interesting because I loved it. I was living the lifestyle of people wanting to lead the lifestyle that I was living. I
Mm.
was educating them, I was training them, I was having lots of fun whilst doing this. But there were some clients that really were getting not under my skin. I was getting under my own skin because I couldn't get some clients' results.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is where it started to evolve for me because I knew there was something deeper that was happening within these people and these clients that I couldn't quite tell what was going on
Yeah.
because I wasn't educated. I didn't have the knowledge or the wisdom to understand what was happening for this client. They were following the plan.
Amazing awareness though to know you want more to give them more.
Yeah, it was one of those things that you have it deep inside of you and you know that
Mm.
it's wrong or you just don't know why,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's just acknowledging it. And then, the first lockdown happened. Gym's completely shut. I stopped working. And what I did was I went internal. I started doing a lot of these sort of spiritual practices and started getting more interested in Sadhguru, which is, he's an Indian mystic and has a foundation that teaches yoga and meditation and all of these wonderful things. And then I just happened to meet people. I happened to meet the right people at the right time who
Mm.
became my teachers. And there's a really great saying, the student, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is really the story of my life is these people would show up into my life unknowing to me because this is just something deep that's happening within myself.
Mm.
I just so happened to find these people and start talking and then literally ask questions. And I was actually invited to learn from these people,
Amazing. Yeah.
being very,
Yeah.
very fortunate, learning from these really, really highly qualified practitioners in different spaces. So understanding sports kinesiology and really what it takes for a human being to, I guess, start operating at a very deep, high performing level.
Mm.
Because the guy I was learning from he was actually coaching, an Olympic strength coach for 1996 Atlanta, the Sydney 2000, and the 2004 Olympic Games. He was coaching like 150 plus athletes.
Wow.
And he didn't like it because he didn't enjoy working with these highly qualified sports people and high performers. So his passion was to help people with disease, chronic disease. And so he went into the space and has been in that space for 30 plus years, just applying all of these same principles, basic foundational principles, and shifting people's energy with kinesiology. And that was really something that just became so profound. And I don't know, I started learning it and became more passionate, and just something awoke within myself.
Yeah.
That just enabled me to deepen this area of my life. And I guess the spirituality side of applying, being a practitioner. And it just constantly evolved. So now what I'm doing is I'm really mixing multiple modalities into when I work with a client. And a lot of it is intuitive. A lot of it's just letting whatever is happening for this client come to the surface. And I honestly don't know if it's right, but it comes through the validation of asking the question to the client.
And then
that's when it just becomes so profound for that person that you should see some of their faces when I ask them the question. They're just like, penny just drops, and they're completely blown away by, how the hell did you know that, right?
That's amazing. Like I love that. And I always say everything you do, even those people listening right now, and there's a lot of people going through transition, especially the start of the year. It's a whole psychological, we're in a new year, that everything you've done leads to what you will do and continue to do. And it's like me, Shaun. I was in the corporate world, in marketing and in sales and in coaching and training, but when I left, it was like starting a new career, a new business. I had to upskill, learn so much, and I'm constantly learning. And I think your story is one of inspiration because, and I want to ask you this: you're working, and I've done work with you, which has been profound. I'm high energy, very spiritual, and you've really helped me tap back into what was there underlying. So you work with, who do you predominantly work with? Who do you love working with?
I love working with anyone who's ready to be responsive and take responsibility for their life. That's, in all honesty, that's who I love working with. Because someone who's ready to be open-minded enough to come and actually have a conversation with me tells me that they're ready.
I love
and that's why it's all beings. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a mom, if you're in the corporate and you're a CEO or a director, executive, it really doesn't matter. But what matters is, can you be open enough to change?
It's open-mindedness, which is open-mindedness, I can't talk, is one of the key competencies of emotional intelligence. I want to ask you this. Are you finding since the pandemic, so it's 2023 now, last year there was a lot of uncertainty, the 2 years prior, especially those, listening in that were from Melbourne, like Shaun and I, Victoria, Australia, are you finding people are being more open to really connecting the head, heart, and intuition into their everyday and their work?
Yeah, I think that's a key change that I'm noticing over the last probably 6 to 12 months, especially. Like, if you had this conversation with people 3 years ago, before the pandemic, the chances are that they're just gonna probably not acknowledge anything about it. I feel like people are way more open-minded because there's a lot of mistrust. There's a lot of uncertainty within the realms of trusting the people in white coats. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just saying that there's a lot of
things to be questioned.
Misunderstanding. There's a lot
I agree.
Questioning. Unexplained things that have happened, and people want answers. And the unfortunate reality in that is more people are getting sick. They're getting more sick because of what they're eating, because they're becoming less, moving. They're sedentary, so they're just living a sedentary lifestyle. And their mindset's just kind of getting, it's like a really sharp knife, except they're holding the blade unknowingly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I totally agree. I'm seeing it a lot more, and there's things I've been doing in my practice and our workshop and coaching programs that almost like you said before, I just channel it and come out with some things. And I even did a head heart head heart gut. I do braining, multiple braining, but I did a live in a room sort of meditation around making a decision using your head, your heart, your gut. And I've written a framework, and it was everyone's favorite part of the afternoon.
Yeah, wow. I'm not surprised.
5 years ago, I could have done it. Would it have worked? Probably not. I think people are looking a lot more inside themselves. I think people are realizing that, I always say we're human beings, not human doings. And I think everyone's jumped back on the treadmill of life last year when they said they wouldn't. And now looking for something that's more holistic, and it makes sense. So it's amazing the work that you do. Hence, I thought this episode would be very timely as we, going into the new year.
Yeah.
So, we do a lot, Shaun, around limitless leadership. So leaders that learn, unlearn, relearn, and evolve, this continuous, evolution of learning and growth. I'd love to, if we've got anyone out there, and we're all CEOs of our own life, whether you're leading a team or not, you're leading yourself, you're leading others, you're leading decisions. What are some tips you could give people that just listening today, they could take away, maybe just 1 or 2 tips, something just practical that they could go away and do or think about?
Notice where your tension is. I think the first and foremost thing that most people need to kind of become aware of is actually training their awareness itself, right?
Yeah.
So what you were saying before, in that people are going more internal, I really believe that the reason for that is because the world is so chaotic. There's so much external chaos that there's not a lot you can control. So the only thing you can control is yourself, right? And this is really just, you look at yourself in the mirror, that's still looking outside, right?
That's right.
So when you go inside is really the only thing that you can control, because we were all born into this world, not by choice, right? It just so happened that we are here right now.
So how do we do that? If I'm out there listening to this right now going, how do I look inwards? How do you do that?
Can you still yourself? This is actually probably one of the biggest tips, because people say they can't meditate because they can't close their thought, they can't quieten their mind, they can't stop their thoughts from coming.
Yeah.
But can you set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes and sit there on the ground with your spine tall, not moving? That's a form of meditation.
Yeah.
It's practicing stillness.
Yeah.
If you can practice stillness, you'll become aware of this moment right now. The more skilled you become at that, because you have to remember that meditation, yoga, training, exercise, nutrition, everything is a practice. You don't just become the master of it by doing it once.
You got to create tiny habits around it.
And
I love that. Even the 5 minutes, I spoke to you a bit, Shaun, when I went into that 4-day meditation silent retreat, and I'm not still or silent at the best of times. And I was doing up to 2-hour meditations, sitting up straight. Did my mind race the first few days? Oh, yeah. I think I invented my next book, came up with all these ideas. But then it started to go more quickly that time. And I now, I'll be straight up I haven't got a really deep practice, but I get up very early and I do 20 minutes just on my meditation mat before I have a shower and the day starts, just breathing and being. And I do find especially if I've got deep work and writing early before I start the day, I've been a lot more on. I want to ask you, I wrote something last year or the year before on, meditation is in the eye of the beholder. What other things can bring stillness? Because I know for me it's cooking, that cooking's one of my biggest passions. And fishing and camping, I love, absolutely
Yeah.
love. I love being out in nature. That's still mindfulness. Yeah. You think,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I
yeah,
think what you're talking about maybe more from moving in the time space that we live in into more of just a space where there is no time.
yeah, yeah,
So people are probably familiar in this space of flow state, right?
yeah, yeah.
So being able to get access flow and get into flow, you write
Mm,
an email, you write a piece of content, you're having a conversation with someone, and time seems to just disappear.
yeah,
Like, whoa, how did it get to it was 1 o'clock when I last looked at the clock, and now it's 3 or 4
yeah,
p.m. How did that happen?
yeah, yeah.
That's
I love that. I think it's happened last year too. Around November, I was one of them. I just couldn't believe where the year had gone. And everyone was saying the same thing. And I thought, if you get really in tune, I'm very in tune with the seasons, always have
Mhm.
been.
Yeah,
I said to my husband, we haven't had a spring. And the start of summer was raining, right? And my
yeah,
mind, and everyone I asked said they felt like it was August. And I went, wow, because we're all still feeling wintry. So it's amazing how you got to look inwards, but some of the, external factors can affect us. So I love that. So 5 minutes sitting anywhere, really. You could even be on a train, have your noise cancelling headphones on, or do that thing. Is there any other little tip, something that's
yeah.
really accessible?
Well, it's yoga, but in a different sense.
Mm,
So not putting yourself into different postures and stretching yourself to really extreme places. Yoga is union. The word actually means union. So
mm,
union and bringing union to yourself,
yeah.
right? So one of the things that I was learning actually only last week, and I was listening to this really deep wisdom from Sadhguru, was you can practice yoga by just being aware of how many words I'm uttering in the last, few minutes. And it's not consciously like counting how many words that
Mm,
I'm speaking, but it's more like every 10 words you kind of just note down in your own in your own mind. And it might only be 3 words, 3, 6, 9, 12, whatever it is. But you're kind of making a little note of how many words or how many steps or how many times do you chew before you swallow, right?
I
It's these
love
little
that. So
things.
it puts you in the moment, little rituals that you have to be in the moment. And I love that because you said before, and I agree, that the past to me is a graveyard. You can learn a lot. The
Mm-hmm.
future doesn't exist. We might not be here tomorrow, right? So all
Spot
we
on.
have is now. And I love that in one of your, lessons that you've spoken about with me, all that exists is this moment. Your power to be who you are is now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So profound. I love that.
Yeah. Tomorrow doesn't exist. Neither does yesterday.
Yeah.
Today doesn't really exist.
No, that's
It
right.
is literally just now. Because if you look at what it took as an evolutionary species, as a descendant of your ancestors,
Mm.
they're all still existing right in this moment. Because if you were here right now, how could they have been before? It
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
I know.
It's like
Oh,
there's this deep layers upon layers of information that are happening in this moment,
mm,
that when you become present and aware of what's happening, that is the profoundness of what life actually is.
yeah.
It's not about the things you accumulate.
No.
It's really becoming aware and noticing how deep life actually goes. Like the trees outside, they breathe in what we expel. There's a giving and receiving relationship to plants that we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're breathing in what we exhale and we're breathing in what they exhale. There's literally this profound relationship that we have with plants that most people just look, there's some plants there, right?
No, it's the world is I've always thought it was magical, and a lot last year really proved that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you that are listening going, whoa, this is getting a bit out there, stay with us, because this everyone has a different awareness of these things. Some people need to see to believe, some people need to believe to see. And that's all in context to who you are, and
Yeah.
what that means for you. And yeah, I love that. And it's that giving and receiving, which was a topic I was only speaking to a client about the other day. I'm a big giver. I know you are too, Shaun. And they said to me, you give so much, Renée, a bit like the ocean. The waves go out, but the tide has to come back in. And are you receiving? And that's something to think about as we head, into the new year. Around, is there it doesn't have to be an even weight, but there needs to be reciprocation. There needs
Yeah.
to be balance. Or I know myself, mid last year, I was so depleted. I give to clients, I give to my family. They do too, but I'm the rock in a lot of groups and relationships. And I couldn't think straight. That's why I went and did that retreat, just to have some silence to sort of recalibrate. Um,
Mm.
you know, and I think doing that, we need to let go of what I call limiting beliefs and have limitless beliefs. And what I mean by that is getting rid of those beliefs that no longer serve us, the things that we tell ourselves repeatedly that we start to believe, and have limitless beliefs. So beliefs that are open to change. And I love one of the lessons, that you said you've learned in your life is letting go of the things that don't serve you any longer. How do you do that?
See, this is a really hard thing to do, especially when it comes to relationships,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to business and client relationships and that kind of thing. Because if you have an awareness, you have a client that is very toxic. There's
Mm,
this 80-20 rule generally that applies when you have a business and when you're working with clients, is that 20% of your clients will take up 80% of your time and your
yeah.
energy.
Yeah. And your headspace.
Yeah, exactly. They actually end up diminishing you,
Yeah.
and they're not the clients that get the results anyway,
Mm,
generally speaking.
yeah.
So really it's along the lines of journaling.
Mm.
So becoming aware once again, because awareness is really the key to a lot
The
of this.
foundation. Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
It's then jotting down, well, who are the relationships in my life that aren't serving me right now? Do they
Mm,
bring positive energy towards my life? Or
yeah.
am I the one who is always bringing positive energy to their life? And it's
Yeah.
not to say that it's a giver and receiver type relationship, but is there some toxic behaviors, some toxic, discussions that we have with these group of friends or clients or whatever it is, even colleagues?
Colleagues, your team, if you're a leader in the business world. Yeah.
A lot of the time they're actually bringing up old parts of yourself that don't serve you any longer.
Yeah.
And so it's trying to make you aware that this
Mm,
is no longer serving for you, that you need to have strong boundaries or
yeah.
some sort of system that can not completely eliminate, but
Mm,
just acknowledge. I think acknowledge is probably the key word to a lot of this, because if you're giving all the time, and trust me, you're receiving too, you
mm.
just don't acknowledge it.
being
Because
being open to receiving. It's even,
yeah.
if I sort of bring it in a simple term, it's when someone compliments you and you go, oh, the other day I said to someone, I love your dress. She goes, oh, this old thing, I got this for $20 or something. You're actually insulting the person that's
Yeah, you're
that's
diminishing.
acknowledging you. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I love that it comes, Shaun, our gift mindset, embracing, being open to unwrapping the gifts in challenging and positive people and situations. Our master model is all around awareness,
Hmm.
acceptance and acknowledgement, and then
Yeah.
taking action. And I think, yeah, I just think that's so, it's just so important. And giving without expecting to receive as well. And that's not saying you're not valuing yourself, but you're going into even with your team, we have a lot of people that lead teams that listen and watch this, give with no expectation to receive, and you usually will receive. And Shaun, I love what you said. We usually are receiving, but we're not seeing it.
Yeah, we're not seeing
Being
it,
open
not
to it.
acknowledging it. Yeah.
We're on I always think of that John Mayer song, Stop This Train, I Want to Get Off. We're just going. And so task oriented a lot of the time that we're not picking up on, we're just leading and living with our head, and we're not picking up with all these other, I'm very big into, compassion and self-knowing and those sorts of things.
Yeah, there's usually some clues
Yeah.
that come up. There's usually some clues that when you're paying attention and you're not so focused on what you're doing, but you get back into the state of being,
Yeah.
you can start to see these things in the greater picture for who you are. Because it's all just a little kind of echo. If you're listening to what's happening around you, so become the observer.
Yeah.
But also the observer that takes action.
I love it. Yeah, you've got to take action, but you're right, it's observing. And I want to ask you a question, and I know you know my thoughts on this. Do you believe in coincidences or synchronicities?
Definitely synchronicities. I think that's a huge part of, of just being, right? Because when you're observing, and this is the thing, right? The more you acknowledge and accept these, I like to call them gifts as well.
Yeah.
These synchronous gifts that you receive, you're becoming the manifester, meaning you're attracting what you really want in your life.
Yeah.
It's not happening by accident. People that believe that they're coinciding with themselves is, it's true, but it's probably because there's a part of you that doesn't quite acknowledge that there is this magic that happens in the world.
Yeah. It's so true. I've always thought anyone I meet or anything I do or come across or anything that happens, good or bad, I have looked at it as it's meant to happen. Everything happens for a lesson has been my saying for many years. And probably the last 2 years, I couldn't, I've told you a few things, but I cannot tell you it's daily, from being in a cafe that's about to shut, talking to someone saying, I need to introduce you to this person who I haven't seen for a while. He walks in the door. Then I hear my name, and there's someone behind me that I was meeting later in the week. And then running into Coles to get cat food of all things, and seeing a client that goes, I haven't seen or spoken to you for 8 years, but I just emailed you literally in the car 10 minutes before I came in here. This was all in one day.
Yeah.
And I'm a really big believer in that. And so I had someone the other day go, oh, so everyone you meet is for, and I said, you might meet them and never see them again, but there was something in that interaction. There's some purpose in, in that. I would love to ask you, you've obviously had your own business in varying forms, and now, the Healthy CEO sort of over the last 5 years. If you could go back in time, what are some things you change or do differently? Is there anything?
I honestly would say if I started working sooner on my business when I actually first graduated from my, certificate 3 and 4 in personal training and fitness.
Yeah.
That would probably be the only thing that I would do, because it would just, it wouldn't speed up anything, because you're on your journey right now because this is the way it's supposed to happen. Like, it's not happening by chance. It's like you've created this to happen this way, and it's meant to happen this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was afraid that I wasn't able to work with clients because I wasn't ready. I didn't feel I was ready to work with people just yet. And so that's why I went to study my degree.
Yeah.
And then, after I studied the degree, I still took a chance. I mean, I still didn't feel ready, but I was able to step out of my comfort zone and,
Yeah.
do it.
And that's great. You've just got to make a start. I don't think anyone's ever ready.
Spot on. Yeah.
I don't. I know when I left the corporate world, I'd been coaching and doing some training in my role, but I was studying NLP, neuroscience, and all these things on the side. And I had a business card and a website before I'd even researched, because that's me, very high
Yeah.
creative.
Yeah.
But I just jumped in and did it. And I think it's about not labeling yourself as anything, but just being you and staying really, really tight on your contribution. There's a lot of people through the pandemic, I know I've worked with closely, that like, I want to do what you do. And it's like, why? I just think, and a lot of it's money. And I say to them, don't do it for the money. If I'd done this for the money, I wouldn't be around still, especially through the pandemic.
Yeah, definitely.
You've got to go in with, what problems are you going to solve? What difference are you going to make? And that, I believe, your vision becomes your boss.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your vision's your boss. So if you don't have a vision, you're going to be treading water and being what I call transactional instead of being transformational and being, really being on purpose. So I think you've got to have an idea of what you want to do. I'm not saying jump in and just, but if you're thinking about something enough, I always say this, and it's keeping you up at night and you have this pining to do whatever it is, jump in and do it, because it's only bigger and amplified in your head. No one else is going to go, oh, you weren't that good at that, or you should have waited another month, or
Yeah. People are too often scared what other people will think of them.
Yeah.
But really, people are actually too afraid, or people are too busy thinking about what you're thinking about them.
Well, what's that saying? What people think of you is none of your business. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I think we get in our own heads. You worrying about yourself. It's even like, we do a lot of personal branding with leaders, and they go, oh, I don't want to put anything out there. I said, God, I just put stuff out there that feels right. I never watch any videos I put out ever. I just go with it, because it is what it is. Create, share, detach, move on to the next thing. And I think that's really important. I'd love to ask you, Shaun, who's a leader that you admire? Like, it could be someone famous, it could be someone in your family.
Yeah, this is a good question. And I think this comes back to, for me, it's probably even Jocko Willink, because Jocko Willink he's in the leadership space as well, and he's huge in the US. But really, he owns leadership because he's leading by example.
Yeah, spot on.
And this is the same as you, Renee, right?
Yeah.
So you're not attached to the things that have happened before. Like, you've recorded it, you've sent it out, and now you've detached. Like, that's the whole purpose of the mission, is we've only got one chance at this life.
Yeah.
And if we don't do it right, or it's not about doing it right. If we just don't do it.
We don't do it leading our whole selves. That's when we don't do it right. That's when you have regrets. You hear all the old sayings, I wish I'd done this, I wish I'd done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's someone who leads by example, who's not afraid to step up and be disciplined enough to lead.
Yep.
Because we're all in this thing we call life together.
Yep.
We're all in this mission of being literally on this planet at this time. So what can we do to carry positivity to our future generations? Well, we need to be the change.
Yes.
For that to happen, we need to lead the change.
Yep. I love that. What's one of, and I know that's a bit Dalai Lama, what's one of your favorite quotes? Have you got anything that sort of, or your own? You've got some good quotes.
This is it's a very good question. There's probably 1,000 quotes that I could list off, but I really think responsibility is limitless.
Yeah.
is one of the quotes that I would say is the key to understanding now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's by Sadhguru. It's one of the lessons in his inner engineering program. Its
Yeah.
responsibility is limitless.
Yeah.
So what's happening down the street, where there might be something like some sort of accident or whatever's happening, somebody gets, falls over and trips on a log, right? There is a little bit of responsibility that you carry that is actually manifesting something down there.
Totally. We're all connected, aren't we? At the end of the day.
We are, and it becomes more and more obvious the more you practice.
Yeah.
You practice being, and you get into this now sort of moment.
Yeah, I love that. I've always said leadership starts with you. I mean, my first book was Limitless Leaders, Lead from the Inside Out. And I think that
Wow,
ties
yeah.
into, you are the CEO of your life. You're the director of your decisions and choices and your thoughts, right? Because your thoughts, we know, create your feelings and your behaviors or your outcomes. I love that. God, we could talk all day. I'd love to just ask you my quick little bit of trivia and then some last few little tips from you. So, favorite color, Shaun?
My favorite color is orange, actually. Yeah.
Why?
This is something that I've wondered for a very long time, but I've recently become aware that it's probably not my strongest area. And the color of orange represents the sacral chakra,
Chakra. Yeah.
which is all around, well, it's business and career, actually. And so for me, it's realizing that I was being pretty rigid in this area, that I wasn't allowing the intuition to flow from this area of my life. Like I've run business for 5 years, but there's just this little part of me that I wasn't acknowledging. And that's actually why I love orange.
And orange is a very optimistic, energetic color too in the energy world. And that's really interesting but that shows me you've gone with your purpose before I've got to have a business plan. I was the same. And I don't plan out as much now. We used to plan 5 years out. Things are changing that rapidly in AI and all these different things. We're a year now. We plan out. And I just think I love that you connected your favorite color to that. That's pretty cool. Favorite noise?
This might be a little bit weird, but I don't know. There's just something about, I don't know if it's probably more dogs. Dogs, when they fall asleep and they start snoring. They start snoring.
Cute.
It's the most peaceful noise you'll ever hear. But when a human does it, it's like, no, please go into the other room.
Unless we had a Cavalier growing up and his snoring was, you had to sleep in the laundry. It was that loud. But I know what you mean. It's like a little whistle, like a cat.
It is like a little whistle. Yeah.
Cat purring's evidently very therapeutic.
Yeah.
Cat purring. Now I've finally got a cat. And last supper, what would your food be? I love food.
I love Mexican food. I love Mexican food. So I'd probably say a burrito with double protein.
Nice. So you're going to say double sour cream then?
Yeah, no, double everything. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Shaun, I always say, I do this with my clients, with my team, I have clients that do this quarterly, monthly, yearly. I always have, what is your big word? I've done it for years. And this year, 2023, nice fresh year. What's your big word? And for those listening, think about what it is for you. The big word could be anything. It's not something you have to tell everyone, but your decisions, your values, you need to make sure underlie and are a linchpin to align with this. But what is it for you, Shaun? Put you on the spot here.
The big word for me this year, and it's something that's come out of more towards the end of last year, is acknowledge. It's acknowledge within self. It's acknowledge within others. Because people don't realize how profound they are.
Mm.
The who I am. I did not realize how, I guess, unique I am. People have told me that, but it's more along the lines of realizing it within yourself.
It's like self-connection, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Connect and know yourself before you can connect deeply with others.
Yeah. And
I love that.
I've noticed a lot of people they're very good at connecting with others.
Yeah, but not.
It's like there's always a yin and a yang, right? A balance to this.
Mm.
So if you're 99% connecting to outside world, but 1% connecting to the inside world,
yeah,
then there's probably going to be some self-love and self-worth, challenges that you face.
Mm-hmm. It's important to live congruently and be aligned. Sort of like, you walk past a house that's got a sign out the front that says professional painter and all the paint's peeling off their roof. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I know it's a bit out there, or a doctor that's having a cigarette telling you, you need to get fit. I haven't seen that. I love that acknowledgement. Beautiful, beautiful. So we're thinking, those listening or watching, what's your big word? My big word this year is a bit different than it has been the other years, and it's magic. So for me, it's about
love that.
seeing it, finding it, feeling it, and making it. And what I mean, magic to me is just what we've been talking about, Shaun, just being more open to things that have always been there, people that have always been there even, and really making magic in and out of the workplace. So with all the client work, we've got so many exciting things coming up, and just seeing the world from a magical perspective. So I know it's a bit out there. I let a team know late last year it was that, and they all went, wow. It's like
but it makes sense. Yeah. It's
and
one
it's where I'm at. So it's it just resonates. So a few, before we let people know how they can find you, work with you, find out more about you, for people to have a really good year this year with the theme of really bringing together our, spirituality, our physical, everything we've talked about today.
Mm-hmm.
What's your last sort of comment to those listening in?
When you're sitting and learning from someone, and I like to think that we all like to learn, but when we actually have our hands facing downwards, this is not receiving. This is more of like a visualization type thing you will do.
Yeah.
Putting your hands facing upwards when you're listening to someone and learning from someone is probably the biggest way to receive something that they're actually telling you. So
that's amazing. So you could do that discreetly. Like if you were at a board table or even in a cafe, you could just put your hands, air quote, for those not watching, just palms up on your thighs or something.
Just on your thighs, yeah. It's going to make you a lot more present and more understanding of who's in front of you.
Well, that's like one of the yoga moves when you're lying, yoga postures, I should say. Tell us, dancer, yoga moves. Lying down with your hands facing up. Yeah.
Yep. And that's where it comes from. These are ancient yogic sciences.
I absolutely love that. Awesome. Awesome. So, Shaun, how do people find you, engage with you?
Awesome. Well, Healthy CEOs is my website. So healthyceos.com.au. And you'll find me on LinkedIn is probably where I post most. And that's Healthy CEOs Shaun on LinkedIn.
Amazing.
So yeah, I put out content, and I've got a newsletter, and that comes out every week. So people want to connect. I've also got a webinar that I run every week as well with one of my beautiful co-hosts up in Sydney. So we do that on Wednesdays at 12:45 Australian Eastern Standard Time, whether it's daylight savings or, we're from Melbourne and Sydney, so it's always daylight time.
Yeah, good.
Except in the winter.
Yeah.
And, it's just giving little penny drops of just value that can really help you demystify health within yourself and really just help you simplify your health and your wellness, because wellness is the integration of all aspects of your health.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And well-being has finally been acknowledged as a key capability of leadership, which is
Wow.
great, but it's a little bit sad. I think it should be acknowledged for a capability in any role, in or out of work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shaun, you push out some amazing content, inspirational, informative, spiritual, covers all sides. So yeah, get on to Shaun, healthyceos.com.
.com.au. Yeah.
.au. And something for everyone listening to this, it's January 2023, and Shaun is going to be a speaker at the upcoming Cook, Connect and Re-Energize retreat. We're running in Melbourne in the Yarra Valley on March the 3rd. So it's a full day, and it's going to be an awesome day. We're going to be making pasta with a professional Italian chef in the morning. And we're going to connect while we're cooking, and then we're going to be eating that over lunch. And we've capped it at 12 people, so it's an intimate group. And then in the afternoon, we're going to be running some really immersive workshops around reflecting, so your beliefs, your values, the year that was, setting boundaries, etc. Connecting to yourself and others, and I'm going to give you some really cool strategies on this. And in the afternoon, we'll be going into re-energizing, where Shaun's going to actually present a session on awakening the energy within you. And I'll also be giving you some strategies on how to re-energize. And it is one of my little superpowers, my energy. So I'm going to share those.
Can't wait for it.
Would love everyone to spend the day with us. Just go to reneegiarrusso.com and you can just click on 2023 events. We've also got a one-day Limitless Leaders Masterclass coming up on the 21st of March, and an emotional intelligence day with a profiling tool on the 27th of April. So lots of exciting things coming in. Obviously, we run everything in-house, and this retreat, Shaun and I can actually come into your business and run that as well. I hope everyone's enjoyed today. I think we might have a part 2 a bit later on, Shaun.
Yeah, I think so. That'd be awesome.
And I just want to say thanks so much for your time, Shaun, and for the contribution you're making to the world, and really enriching and helping everyone raise that awareness of being the CEO of your life. Yeah. Thanks for listening to the Limitless Leaders podcast. Pleasure, Shaun, and we will catch you on the next episode. Stay well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.